So I'm going to share my screen. So hello, everybody. This is the flat fee hourly or advice only planner meetup. Woohoo! I am Sarah Grillo, and it's nice to meet all of you. So the point is for us to all learn from each other. I'm not going to make too much of a big announcement in the beginning. I actually have a lot of just a few small announcements. I have literally 4 slides of questions, and that makes me really excited because that means we can hopefully all of us get something out of this and learn. There's way more learning potential when there's more questions, but I cannot guarantee, folks, and I apologize in advance, that I'll be able to answer all of these questions. So what I'm going to do is I actually have another meetup scheduled for Wednesday, October 12th, but this one is at 12 p.m. instead of 1 p.m. Eastern time. The meeting is recorded, everybody. So if there are compliance or regulatory issues with being on a recorded line, please kindly exit the webinar and feel free to view the replay. Just a few really quick announcements on my end, and then I'm going to stop talking. These are the items that I'm working on myself personally because I want to make progress for the group. I've reached out to a few reporters, one from the Wall Street Journal, and I've spoken with them about the flat fee advice only and hourly movement. And there's a good reception so far, but as you know, it's never an immediate response that you get from a journalist. They're probably just going to be waiting until there comes up a time for a story, and I am trying to suggest story ideas. So if anybody has an idea for a story, something about what you've done in your practice, or that you've seen some innovation that has happened for clients that you feel a reporter would do very well to be writing about, please let me know if you would like me to reach out to a reporter on your behalf, and I do know several of them. I'm also working on, and this is really difficult, trying to somehow brand this movement a little bit better. So creativity can never be rushed, but I am trying to come up with somewhat of a better name that isn't as clunky sounding, and maybe even a logo to visually represent the principles of this movement. Somebody asked me for a slip sheet about the advantages of flat fee planning. So I actually will have that done this week. It's not a final slip sheet that you could actually send out. It's something that you would in fact have to customize, put on your letterhead, which would be better, or on your company stationery or whatever. But I did write the copy for it, and that will be given free to anybody who's a flat fee planner in my group. This is what I'm doing to support the movement. Also, a lot of times it helps to have a buddy or a comrade or a colleague that you can work with and kind of keep each other accountable. So I'm willing to play matchmaker, because I do, in our LinkedIn group, have a lot of flat fee advice only. There are a lot of you that I could pair up with each other, and you could touch base once a week or once a day or whatever, just to support each other and keep each other accountable for staying on track with your deliverables. Mentoring. People have reached out to me, and I've assigned mentors from this group as well. I've started to write a book about flat fee financial advice, and I'll be sending out those chapters for all of you to review and provide feedback on. I'm not going to necessarily wait until the book is published to release all of it. It's going to be free. The book about flat fee financial advice is going to be free for everybody. So there's no need for me to make a big deal out of when it's published, because it's not like I'm going to get, trying to get myself like being a New York Times bestselling author or something, because there's nothing to sell. I'm not doing this to sell or make money. I'm doing this to progress the movement. And I will have in the newsletter. Can everybody please mute, by the way? That would be really useful if everyone could do that, just for a few minutes, and then we're going to move to the dialogue part. I'll have a sign up if you're interested in receiving the chapters of the book as I write them. Stock images. I've gotten requests for flat fee advice only or hourly planning stock images. There are no such images that are specific to this type of work. And so I'm working with a graphic designer to create those. That'll be a while. And I'm also trying to get this meetup together on a monthly basis. As I said, there's another meeting on October 12th. So please mark your calendars for that. And that information will be going out over the newsletter, but please save the date, October 12th. Trying to get, if we get enough traction in this movement, I'd also like to organize some conferences. It seems like everybody has a conference, and of course, some are very distasteful in my opinion, but these conferences will be tastefully done. The focus will be on the client. They will be low cost, not a lot of sponsorship or conflict. Trying to just keep it as pure as possible in the spirit of this movement, which I believe that we could define to be about integrity, transparency, honesty, serving the client with dignity, and all of the ideals which I think have drawn you to it and drawn all of us together. So having said that, just a few more announcements here. Please join our LinkedIn group if you have not. I'm going to put these links into the chat. There's also a resource page. A lot of people don't know about this, but I'm just putting all of the free resources that I possibly can, given my time allowance, into this on this resource page, and they are stored here. There are interviews, webinars, SEO marketing tips, all kind of advice about marketing and practice management for free on this resource page. So if you have not visited the page yet, please do. And lastly, this is inclusive, and if anyone has a disability such as being deaf, blind, requiring translation from another language, etc., it is my intention to include all of you in every sense. And so please let me know, and I will be happy to accommodate. And so having said that, let's talk. I'm going to now move into just everybody introducing themselves. So please unmute yourself and introduce yourself. And I'm going to take myself off of Spotlight. Who wants to go first?
I'll go first. So my name is Chris Randall. I launched my independent RIA 6 months ago. It's called Axis Capital Management, AXIS. And I just joined Sarah's group here in LinkedIn, I think a week ago. So I'm happy to be a part of the group and happy to be a speaker for behalf of flat fee planning. I focus on younger millennials and other first-time investors, people who are just getting started, building a portfolio and have never done financial planning before. So I think the pricing model of subscription flat fee works well for that. And I'm just trying to learn from other flat fee advisors in this group.
Great. That's wonderful. Chris, welcome. And thank you so much for going first. Okay. So Skip, could you go next? Because you're right next to Chris.
Certainly. My name is Skip Fleming. I'm in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I'm part of the Garrett Planning Network. Also, I work with CGN Advisors, which used to be Garrett Investment Advisors. I've been in business in the industry for 20 years since I retired from the Marine Corps with 24 years as a pilot. And I work primarily with government employees, military folks, and families with special needs. Skip Fleming in Colorado Springs.
Skip, that is awesome. And by the way, thank you so much for your service. We have so much to be thankful for. Thank you. Chris, hi. Thanks for coming. Oh my gosh, I think that you're muted. Okay, let's see, can we unmute you? Do you want me to come back?
Oh, let's try that. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. So Chris Shoup with South Shore Financial Planning, based in the Tampa Bay, Florida area. Focus on kind of pre-retiree, retirees, have a flat fee model that does include investment management as well.
Great. Is there anything that you're specifically looking to get out of today's meetup, Chris?
No, just meet other advisors that have kind of the same mission and just learn from others, really. Yeah. Okay.
And now who's this guy next? Knut?
Unmute. Thank you, Sarah. I'm Knut Rostad, president of the Institute for the Fiduciary Standard. I'm not an advisor. I work with advisors all the time. I've started reaching out several months ago to a number of you because of the energy and passion that I saw around what you guys are doing. From the perspective of you're all fiduciary fee-only advisors, I think, unless I've missed someone. That's why I am interested. I think the two key parts is the degree to which you focus on transparency and clarity of fees and services. That's the part that really catches my attention, because that's the part that fee-only folks, the other side can't compete with you, because they're not even able to do it, even if they wanted to do it, and investors care about it. Okay, so that's why I'm here. That's why I'm interested. And thank you, Sarah.
Canute, could you please talk about, just very briefly, because we have so many people here, which I'm really so thankful for. Thank you, everybody, for like not embarrassing me by having nobody show up. Anyways, Canute, can you just please mention what you're doing this September for the fiduciary standard?
Oh, okay.
Very important.
Our little group is proclaimed September 10 years ago as forever to be known as Fiduciary September. And since then, every September, we have put on programs. This year, we've got 10 panels during the month of September. They're all digital, except for one that's a hybrid in New York City, September 22nd. If you happen to be there, you're welcome to join us at 4 p.m. But so we are the largest annual conversation of advisors, planners, experts about the importance of fiduciary. And that is what our niche is. And Sarah has been on a couple, and we do have a program next week on flat, I call flat fixed hourly fees. Three of you, I think, are on that program. So anyway, I love what you guys are doing, and look forward to finding ways to collaborate going forward.
We love you too. Yes. And so when you kind of said that clunky, like flat, fixed, hourly, like that's that all I have to somehow work my magical creative powers and find a word. You know what I mean? Like fiduciary blue jay, like whatever. I have to somehow solve this. Canute, what's your email address? Okay, people want to know.
Well, I don't want to take up the time of 38 people, but I mean, you know, my name at the fiduciaryinstitute.org. If you Google my name and fiduciary, everything we do is out there, and you can find it in about 3 seconds. But that's where I am. So
okay, thank you, Brian.
Brian McCluskey, thank you, Sarah. I've just been so impressed with your leadership in this space, and how it shifted over time. You were just teaching us the LinkedIn stuff for a while, and then you totally grasped onto this. I've also been motivated by the movement, because I was an insurance. I'm right outside of Philadelphia, independent RIA. Was insurance only for the longest time. And then when I stepped into the world of RIA and assets under management, it never felt right. So when I was kind of had my eyes opened up to, I was always looking, I couldn't quite find a different model until I especially from the custodians, until I stumbled upon it last December, and it's changed my world. And I still got to get better at promoting the shift, and it's been a little clunky making the shift over. But what I'm really looking forward to getting out of this from your leadership in the group is just examples of what has worked, and questions along the way. So, but thank you.
You're welcome, Mike Powers. Hi, Mike.
Yep. Sorry about that, Sarah. I thought I unmuted myself and apparently did not. Hey, I'm Mike Powers. I'm the founder of Manuka Financial here in Richmond, Virginia. Launched my firm in May of 2021, so about 15 or 16 months ago, and ended up going flat fee almost a year ago today. Was originally thinking about a flat fee / advice only type firm going into it, and got talked out of it by some close friends of mine. And after being, having my own firm for a few months, realized I wanted to do stuff exactly kind of how I wanted to do it and be proud of it. And I think people like Andy Panko and James Osborne, who I know is not on here today either, but have really kind of set the stage. I've been thinking about doing this for many years, and really thankful that I made that switch about a year ago. I focus on serving clients who are nearing retirement, but especially that are looking to retire a little bit before the traditional retirement age of 65. I've been a part of kind of the FIRE financial independence movement for over a decade myself, and it's a lot of fun now to be able to have that flexibility to work with clients who are looking to kind of have the issues with health insurance and everything else, and kind of early withdrawal strategies that I wasn't necessarily able to work with before, because most of those people are very much against or opposed to the traditional AUM model, just because of the cost compared to the portfolios that they typically have accumulated over their lifetime. I guess the last thing is I'm also a CPA, and so that's kind of my background. And so I also provide tax preparation services to clients that are also looking for that service.
Mike, thank you so much. And so Mike mentioned an interview with Andy Panko. So I actually interviewed him. He's also been interviewed by some other people, but the interview is on the resource sheet. It's actually on my website as well. So if you go to my blog and there's a search field there, you could just enter the word Panko and he'll come up. Very inspirational. Mike Bard. What's up, Mike?
Sarah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Mike Bard, I've been around a while. This is my 27th year in the business. I was with a really large firm for a long time. I got tired of it and I broke away with a few other friends. Started in January with a company called The Sum. We're on the north side of Houston, about an hour and a half north of Houston. So it's been a lot of fun. I would say that I'm very passionate about this movement. I made a decision back in 99, 2000 to get my master's degree from a school in Dallas that had 6 classes that were for the CFP, and I had a manager that said, "Hey, don't waste your time doing that. You just need to get on the phone and sell products." It just doesn't.
Ooh, okay, this is going to be a long story here, Mike. So can we just kind of zoom in on what the importance?
That's it. Yep.
Okay.
This is that was my vision for the future. This flat fee model has so much traction. It's going places. This is the future of our industry. It's the best thing for the client across the board, and I'm glad to be part of this group.
Hallelujah, bro. Okay, Scott McKillop. Who are
Scott
you?
McKillop. I'm in Denver, Colorado, with First Ascent Asset Management. We're not an advisory firm. We're what's sometimes called a TAMP, or a turnkey asset management provider. We provide portfolio management services to financial advisors, but I think we're the only flat fee TAMP, and the only flat fee asset management firm actually that I know of. We started the firm about 7 years ago because we have similar beliefs to all of you in terms of the fairness and transparency and utility of flat fees for clients. Also a member of Knute's organization, the Institute for the Fiduciary Standard. I think we're the only asset management firm that's part of that group as well. But that's my story, and I'm just here to learn what I can from you and contribute whatever I can to the conversation here.
And this man climbs mountains. Have you
climb mountains.
Mount Everest yet or something?
I haven't climbed Mount Everest. I climbed Huron Peak last weekend. That's 14,000 feet. So that was pretty good. But yeah.
I always get, when I see you on social media, I always get jealous. You know what I mean? It's like
Well, you can come along, come on out, and
I can't because I have 4 children. I have 4 children under 9 years old. Okay. I do school and the grocery store and my job, and that's it. Okay. I'm not cool anymore, but you are. Okay. Charlie B. Healy. Did I butcher your last name, Charlie? If so, I apologize.
No, that's okay. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate you doing this. I'm probably the greenest of the group and the least experienced. I'm transitioning from one career to another, and I have a certain client avatar in my head and a population of those people before me, but I really don't know how to structure the fees. So thankful to be here and interested to learn on the best way to do some of that fee structure.
All right, good. Hello, Julia.
Hello, my name is Julia Lilly. I'm in Houston, Texas, and I founded Ryerson Financial as an advice-only hourly financial planning firm. So I have a number of years of experience in finance, maybe 5 in financial planning, but I'm really passionate about this movement on trying to increase transparency, trust, really this idea of financial health is wealth. So I'm trying to leverage kind of a doctor concept to how people should think about their financial lives. So excited to learn from this group. I'm fairly green as well, kind of Charlie to echo you. I'm about to hit 1 year of the RIA and just looking to continue to expand my network. So excited to be here. And Sarah, thanks a lot for leading this group.
You sure betcha. So, you know, I love it when people say, oh, I'm so green. You know what? Given all the crap training, and sorry to all the veterans here, but there's so much poisonous, toxic stuff that, girl, you're probably better being green, okay?
Oh, no. I like channeling the mantra of fake it till you make it, but I will challenge people on when do you ever make it? So anyhow, no, it's been fun.
Keep
I
having
hope to be green for the rest of my life.
Stay green. That's right. Stay humble and modest is the best way to be. All right, Eric, you're up.
Eric Kirsty, 22 years experience, half in private banking, half in an RIA environment. Sarah, appreciate you doing this. Echo everyone else's comments. I'm a co-owner and I co-founded a RIA earlier this year. And so we're a faster growing organization, but like anything, I'm very passionate about this space too. I've had a mixed fee working relationship with many clients, but have found challenging to really serve those that you're trying to help the most. And sometimes an AUM model is not the good way to go. So transitioning more to a sort of a complexity-based fixed type fee environment, and really I'm here to learn. I've had challenges where I've had to create and do things on the fly, and reaching out to other advisory firms to kind of learn how they're doing and putting things together in this environment, or at least from the fixed fee standpoint. And it's really great to save time and learn from others. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
All right, Chanel. Hello, senorita.
Hi. So I'm Chanel. I'm a financial representative on the financial advisor track at Forest Hills Financial Group. It's my 2-year anniversary with my firm this month, and I've been in the industry for about 3 years altogether now. I'm finishing up my Series 66 in another couple of weeks. And as of right now, I consider myself to be a general practitioner. However, I enjoy working with therapists and healthcare executives. And to take that a bit further, I'm particularly interested in working with first-generation professional women. And I'm here today because I know this industry has a lot to offer, and I want as much exposure from earlier on in my career as possible, as to not limit myself. And that's why I'm here to learn about flat fee services.
And so, Chanel, are you from my neck of the woods here? I think you are.
Yes. I am based in Nassau County, Long Island. Is that where you're from?
No, but
Okay.
it is in the New York metro area, so that is good enough.
Yeah.
You gotta stick together. You know what I mean? Any other New Yorkers here, just join us here. Okay, just kind of be our support group, because everyone in the rest of the country hates us. Okay, go ahead. Bad gal fan.
Thanks, Sarah. I'll start off by mentioning that I am an expatriate New Yorker. Grew up in New York, still a Mets fan, still a Knicks fan. Don't follow football so much, but now I live in Chevy Chase, Maryland, where I've been for a few decades now. And I've been in the investment advisory industry for pretty much all of that time, a little bit more than 30 years, with different firms along the way. I fortunately, my first job in the industry, I encountered someone who had a CFA. I didn't even know what that meant. And he advised me to get a CFA, which I did. As Sarah knows, one of the important units in that program is the ethics and professional practice. And I was very taken by the fact that such a program existed, because at that point, my entire knowledge of the industry was about brokerage firms. And I thought that's all there was. So it opened my eyes to the fact that there is a way to practice as a fiduciary, which I have done my entire career. So I'm a bit of a hybrid here within this group, in that I do offer financial planning services by the hour, but my focus actually is on money management for nonprofit organizations. The term of art that many of you will be familiar with is an outsourced chief investment officer, or OCIO. So that's my focus, but my firm is very new. I started, similar to Chris, earlier this year, about 7 months ago. So I'm a little bit of throwing spaghetti at the wall to find short-term clients who need financial planning on a one-off basis by the hour, and long-term clients in the nonprofit world who need investment advice and money management. So I'm here for two reasons. One is I'm very, very sympathetic. In fact, passionate about fiduciary duty and the importance of it. And I do have a part of my practice that is hourly fee, so I fit there. But I also want to learn. I'm open to the idea of changing to a complete flat fee structure, although I haven't seen that at all in the nonprofit world. So perhaps there'll be a way to apply it there. I don't know.
Okay, so I'm sorry, everybody, a few things. The first thing is there's a conversation going on in chat, and that can really be helpful. So everybody just chat as much as you want here while we're all talking. Just don't hesitate to use that, because I know that for time purposes, some of you may need to jump off and can't say the whole thing, whatever, okay? The other thing I just want to make clear is that don't hesitate to come to me if you have questions on things. I'm a human being and I mess up sometimes. I mean, I think I mess up a lot of times, but I do tend to be very responsive on chat. So if something happens, like with my kids or something, and I have to be away from the computer, it might not be as fast, but normally I am pretty quick even with my response. I just want to encourage everybody, ask me the questions that you have. And if you don't have, and if I don't have the answer, I'll find somebody, because I'm marshaling these resources. Okay, so, and I just say that because when I was a financial advisor 10 years ago, I didn't have this. There wasn't social media. It wasn't active. Yeah, there was a million regulations. Okay, and I was really secluded and alone. And look, I think I was meant to be doing this anyways, so it was my destiny, but I don't want anyone to feel alone. I don't want anyone to feel like I can't ask this question, or I'm going to fail at this, or I have this anxiety, but I don't want to tell anyone because I'm going to sound stupid. None of that. Okay. I absolutely don't want that. And, I try to remain as humble and modest as I can. I try not to judge. I don't judge, except if you're a broker dealer. Just kidding. So what can I say? Anyways, so I just want to make that clear to everybody that there's nothing to be ashamed of in asking a question, and especially to me.
Can I interject, Sarah, a little bit out of turn? I just wanted to mention, I found out about Sarah through some of her columns that she published on Advisor Perspectives, which is an excellent publication if you're not familiar with it. And I was so taken with a lot of the advice she wrote about in her column that I got in touch with her around 2 years ago. And I've not actually, I'll take that back. I actually retained her for a couple of hours of advice a couple of years ago, right on, and would like to do that again at some point, Sarah. But to echo what she just said, I've kind of had a occasional email exchange with her where I had a question or a comment or whatever, and she's always been very responsive. So what she says, she really means. I mean, if you want to send her a message via email or her website, she will respond. She's great.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I'm blushing here. Matt, thank you so much. Okay, I really appreciate that. Josiah, hi.
Hi, Sarah. Name's Josiah. Was introduced to Sarah by another advisor, Ryan Firth, flat fee advisor. And I come in, I'm not an advisor. I come in more from the consumer side, actually. I found out about flat fee advisors when I was personally looking for a financial advisor. And I became really excited with the movement and wanted to see how I could help out in this movement of letting more people like myself know about flat fee financial advisors. So about a little over a year ago, I started reaching out to different advisors and trying to find a way that I could help other advisors. And so from that, I've worked on this platform called AmericanAdvisor.us, where it helps consumers find advisors who are flat or hourly, and exclusively that. So no one charges AUM or by commission or anything like that. So just
put your stuff in the chat, please, because financial advisors that are in this model, please, you need to be listed here with him.
Yeah.
Is there a fee for them to list?
Yes. No, it's free right now. It's free right now.
Yeah. Okay, y'all, you heard the word. Okay. Adam Cross, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sarah.
You're very welcome. Adam, what's up, homeboy?
Hey, everybody. My name's Adam. Been in the industry for 12 years. Started at age 19, interestingly. I run a next-gen family office. So that's the word we're going with, next-gen family office.
That's
but basically,
buzzwords.
Yeah, basically, we're trying to, I come from the AUM and commissionable world, but basically I'm trying to, my firm offers hourly, retainer, or AUM, and we allow each client to basically pick which model works best for them. Interestingly, most clients still opt for AUM. Somehow I thought it was going to be quite the opposite, but that's where we're at right now. And I'm really trying to basically take our hourly and flat retainer options to the next level. So been networking with a lot of flat fee folks.
All right, and kick some butt. That's it, Adam. Great.
Yep.
And I love how active you are in our community.
Yep.
So thank you.
Appreciate it.
Adam. You betcha. I don't know this guy who's coming up next here. Do not know him. Scott Salaski.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Yeah, my background is I've been in the advice business as an advisor for over 20 years. And I don't want to say kind of like I'm kind of the OG of the low fee movement, but back in 1999, a partner and I started.
Hey, Scott, hold on a second, okay? I think it's your microphone is like a little muted or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we can't really hear you.
Oh, hold on a minute. Let's see. How about now?
I think that's better.
Okay, good. Yeah, so I've been an advisor for over 20 years. Kind of, I'll just call me the OG of the low cost fee movement. It was originally AUM. A partner and I started a firm back in 1999 and charged 0.25% in AUM. Wow. Nobody was doing that. There was no robo advisors, nothing. And then that firm, grew pretty well. I sold my interest in that, took some time off, and then started a new firm, First Metric, about 7 years ago as a low fee, fixed fee, flat advisor. As I have built basically a model, I think that a lot of you that are just kind of transitioning to the fee model, whether you're managing money or you're working just directly with clients providing advice, that it is possible. So I have about 50 clients. I charge every client a fixed flat fee per month. And in my model, I happen to manage their money as well for that. But again, it's not a requirement. And, at my firm, that's the model they have, but obviously it's not a requirement for anybody to charge flat fees where you have to manage money. But it's possible either way. And I think that, anybody that's on this group. I'm with Sarah. I'm trying to move the movement forward for the last 20 years, and I'm happy to chat with any of you privately. Feel free to reach out to me. I'm pretty much out there on social media. My website's firstmetric.com. You can reach me through there. My email's scott@firstmetric, and I'm happy to help anyone on the webinar today.
Yeah, Scott's like basically taken over my podcast. Like he was on a few times, and then the next thing I know, like all my listeners are like, "Can you have Scott Solowski back?" And I'm like, "Well, this was not intended here. That like he's gonna like take over." So
I made all the mistakes that I don't want you guys to make. So feel free again to reach out.
all right, Scott, thank you. Thanks for being here. That.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to meet you. I see a few faces of folks that I've met, mostly folks that I haven't met. So it's wonderful to be here with you all. I am the founder of Future Wallet, which is a financial coaching business for millennial women. And so I'm excited to be here to learn from you all. I left my job working in finance at Google about 6 months ago to focus on building my business full time. I work mostly with higher earning millennial women, many of whom are in my own peer demographic. I've gone to business school, gone to law school, et cetera. And they, from talking to my peers, many feel underserved from the industry today or don't feel like the fee models align to what they're looking for. And so I am interested in eventually building my own fee-only firm and excited to learn from you all in the process, especially around pricing and service models.
Awesome, Beth, thanks for being here. Jose.
Hi, Sarah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes. All right. I'm Jose Albrecht. I'm from Lima, Peru. I got a financial advisory firm here. We only charge flat fees to our clients. And we're expanding to Miami, Florida. So I am here to learn about this new approach and get some experience from all of you. Thank you.
Bienvenidos to
Gracias.
our group, Jose.
Muchas gracias.
De nada, senor. Okay, Brian.
I'm Brian Tegmeyer with Truly Prosper Financial Planning in Dayton, Ohio. Started my business a couple years ago part-time while working at a fee-only firm. Was doing advice only then, and then left the firm in May and added like a flat fee option then. It's Brian Tegmeyer in Dayton, Ohio.
Brief and to the point, Brian. Thank you. Hello, Kelly.
Hi there. I'm Kelly Barenbaum. I have been in the industry for 28 years, but mostly on the corporate broker-dealer side at Raymond James. I launched my firm about a year ago after a failed succession plan because I was like, that's not what I thought it was going to be. I started off with both a flat fee planning model and an AUM fee. And I just had a really difficult time with my early clients who were small business owners trying to say, okay, I'm doing all of this work for you for your succession plan and your personal financial management. Oh, and if you want me to manage your assets, it's this other structure. So I live a couple hours from Carolyn McClanahan, who's well known and a huge advocate of this type of fee model. And I went up to see her and asked her how she did it. And she was great, by the way, as I'm sure everyone here is very helpful and willing to educate me. And I made a change to my model in March with my last ADV update. So now I am flat fee only. I'm primarily planning driven again for those small business owners, succession plans, and all of the personal financial management for themselves and their family members. And I will do investment management for a flat fee as well. And I just figure that out in terms of complexity. So if I'm doing the investment management and I use Scott's team at First Ascent, they've been fantastic. So that's kind of where my model is. I came to this because I had struggled with the whole AUM fiduciary standard, and also it just doesn't fit everyone. If you've got a business owner and their assets are tied up in their business, why should they have to sell it if they want to transition it to their next generation? There are just a lot of, I think it removes a lot of the conflicts. So I love the model. I think it's the future of the industry. I'm really excited to hear about all the people who've been doing it for such a long time. And I'm happy to be here.
Woohoo, Kelly, thank you. And I love, sorry, I'm not trying to, I love seeing women here, okay? Because if we're talking about the future, then we're talking about a world that is inclusive. And I am definitely committed to making it so. And so if anyone has suggestions on that about how we can make sure that everybody from our all facets and all corners of our society is included in what I'm doing, I really would be very open to that. And again, very humble to make any changes. So Sean.
Hi there, I'm Sean Mullaney, based in Los Angeles, advice only financial planner. I'm a career changer, so I've had my own independent RIA for about 3.5 years now. And yeah, I do advice only. I'm project based, so not looking to have too many essentially continuing relationships. I have sort of episodic planning with my clients.
Great. And I believe that you had a question on that, Sean. So we'll be getting to those questions. I don't know if we'll get to that one because there's a heck of a lot. Okay, Michael. Hat to the back, Michael.
Hey, I'm back, Michael. I am not in the industry right now. I'm in software sales based in Kansas City. Just got a master's degree this past summer in financial planning, looking to make the switch. Would be very interested in speaking with anyone to better understand how to make the career switch and still make it profitable for me and my family while I try to transition. So good to meet everybody. Looking forward to learning more.
All right, so I think we got anybody. Is there anybody that did not get the chance to speak?
I actually didn't. I did post a small thing in the chat, but I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Jordan. I'm an entrepreneur working with Rally. I'm a co-founder, also creating a platform for flat fee advisors, looking to help them post services in sort of like an Amazon marketplace so that people can find the advice they're looking for specifically. Glad to see other entrepreneurs here as well, and really hope that we can help this group grow and be successful.
All right. So the first question that I have here, I had so many questions that I had to group them into 5 separate categories. So I'm going to start with service model questions. What is the service model and how do you implement it, especially as a solo practitioner? Did anybody want to try to answer that question?
Yeah, I can go. So the service model that I'm working under, and it's still early, so it's TBD if it's going to work, but working with people who are just getting started in investing and looking to build a portfolio and to manage their wealth over time and potentially become DIY investors. I found that reducing the friction of onboarding all of their assets, if they have any current accounts, over to an advisor and providing advice only subscription services allows them to keep all of the optionality on their side of the table. The other thing it does for me is keeps accountability very high, so that if they feel like they're not getting value month to month or quarter to quarter, they can just simply fire me and move on to somebody else or to become a DIY investor. So this is just based on the research that I've done and kind of where I am. I'm a 38-year-old older millennial, so I work with typically people around my age or a little bit younger than myself. And, you know, that's what has worked for me. I have a friend down the street in Hermosa Beach, California, who has a similar model for pre-retirees for some of the people that I heard go, and providing one-time plans for them. And he's also about a year in. So if anybody's interested in connecting with him and asking how he's getting out there and offering his services, you know, feel free to reach out and I can connect you to him as well.
Thank you, Chris. Who else wants to talk about the service model?
I'll jump in. My model is actually, when it comes to financial planning, it's actually very similar to Chris's. I find that I've attracted over the years and in my new practice, people who are, let's call them affluent professionals who are getting toward the end of their careers, so they're thinking about retiring, and they want some assurance that they're on track to meet their needs for retiring. So I'm happy to do a financial plan, either what used to be called a comprehensive financial plan, or just one-off questions on particular topics, and do that by the hour. So I can deliver to a client essentially a written plan of how they should allocate their assets, identify specific investments if they want it, make sure they have an appropriate portfolio of insurance policies, college planning, et cetera. And I do all of that by the hour, and deliver to them a written document that really serves as a resource and a reference. And if they have a question, they can look up, what my advice was about that particular topic. And then the follow-up is usually, a lot of those folks are do-it-yourselfers. So the follow-up might be, oh, come back and talk to me in a year, just to check in, have an annual checkup, basically.
Folks, I apologize for the noise in the background, because it's inevitable that whenever I have a live webinar, there has to be like planes and buses and like people on the roof over here doing construction now, of course. So I'm so sorry for this. I'm so embarrassed. Oh my God. Okay. So the next question is, Panko, meaning Andy Panko, charges $10,000 per client for both financial planning and investment management. If one didn't do investment, sorry, y'all, my blood pressure's spiking, okay? I just want to let y'all know. If one didn't do investment management and only produce financial plans, how sustainable is the business? If no one has an answer to that, then we'll just move on, okay?
It's very sustainable. You just got to keep your funnel full.
Okay, so the question is really about, if I don't have a, thank you, Chanel. If I don't have a consistent revenue stream coming in from assets that I manage, then, and I'm just doing one-off plans, then how sustainable is it? Right. I mean, if you talk to John Luskin, or, I mean, even Cody, a lot of the people that are on the advice-only model, just delivering plans, they're pretty good with the marketing. I mean, they're on social media, they have referral networks, et cetera. So I definitely think that that is something that you should be considering if you're looking at advice only, is how much energy and time am I really willing to dedicate to this?
Well, and I think you could also make it where you revisit the plan throughout the year. So, I mean, you have your financial planning and investment management. That's obviously an ongoing process. But if you just remove the investment management, you can still do that ongoing tax planning, insurance reviews, withdrawal strategy reviews throughout, and have a retainer-based model. So I don't know that needs to be either or. I think there's room for both. Yeah.
I think there's a mix between I don't know, there's a disconnect between advice only does not mean it has to be one and done for plans or ongoing plans. I mean, I charge a retainer model, $500 a month. I meet with clients every month, and they're with me forever. So, and I don't do investment management. So, and that's advice only. So it's just a question of how are you defining it to match your needs. I mean, my background, my PhD is in adult learning, so I'm more on the behavioral side. So I'm working on something with them every single month going forward.
Awesome. This is what I love about this, is that the creativity and the permutations, and to me, it speaks to the spirit of meeting the client where they are. That's what I love about innovation. That's what my hope is for this movement, and that we could just take over the rest of the industry and kick everyone else's butt with our creative methods. So this is great to hear, everybody, and thanks for contributing. Next question. I'm also curious to hear from anyone doing limited scope planning, one-page financial plan. That's how they're defined. One-page financial plan or limited scope planning for younger clients that doesn't involve a full financial plan.
I can jump in there. I've done limited scope plans for both younger and older clients. One woman who was 10 years away from retirement and had gotten some really bad advice and products sold to her, and she wasn't a good friend for a traditional advisor, so she got referred to me. So it was kind of, and then the others were like professional working people. So I've got two things where I can do like a 4-hour, I call it a mini plan, and like a 2-hour sort of office hours thing. And I just charged the 4-hour mini plan and laid out specifically what we were going to talk about. And then in the recommendations, I unfortunately did a lot of work about what wasn't included and what I didn't know and couldn't, advise on. So it was kind of a, I don't know, risk management for me, but that's how I went about it. Love to hear from others.
I love this approach, Kelly.
Matt Gelfand here, just to chime in a bit on the topic of limited, let me call it limited purpose financial plans. One caution for those of you who are CFPs, which reminds me of another point I want to make. But if you have a CFP, the CFP requires, the CFP board requires that you give your prospect or client a very specific disclosure that basically says, I'm not giving you a comprehensive financial plan, and therefore I may not be taking into account all of the information that I should take into account if I were doing a full financial plan. So my answers to your limited scope questions may be therefore limited, i.e. I'm not doing all of my best work for you, and you have to provide that disclosure. So footnote to our conversation a couple of days ago, I'm Sarah's fan, if you can tell. A couple of days ago, Sarah did a blog about I forget the exact title, but it basically should I
cancel my?
It's a podcast,
right?
On should I retain my CFP designation, and I listened to it on recording last night. It was great. For those of you who have CFPs, I highly encourage you to listen to her blog on that topic. It was really eye-opening what the CFP board is and is not doing to promote our profession.
Sarah, can I jump in for 10 seconds? I also listened to that blog last night, Matt. I think you're absolutely right. It was really good. And, one key issue among many of our members is how should we think about CFP board because of all its shortcomings? But the other one thing that happened in that discussion, which is so rare today, and I give Sarah credit for it, the back and forth between JR, who is a professional critic of CFP board, and your other person, I can't remember his name.
Robert Wright. I
mean, it was what I call an adult discussion.
Right.
There was a back and forth, and guess what? You could actually learn something. So, I am a huge critic of CFP board myself, but that was a contribution that we don't see enough of. And CFP board made a huge mistake not to join that. And I said it on our webinar yesterday afternoon. Anyway, okay, I'll get off, but I wanted to put in there.
Yeah, I mean, just to be very clear, Scott Solaski was also involved in the debate. There were 4 of us. Just I don't want to leave anyone out. But we are structuring my podcast in the future to, first of all, be on these fiduciary and service-related type topics. Traditionally, have been about marketing, but there has been a little bit of a shift to practice management. And second of all, there's going to be a lot of debates because I do find that that's where you really get into the nuances, like with JR. So please, y'all, visit my website and listen to that CFP podcast, because it's not just a podcast about the CFP designation. It's about ethics. It's about the fiduciary standard. It's about the laws that govern the profession. It's about doing the right thing. It's about all of those things. So I really encourage all of you to listen to it. And it was funny too. Like, it gets very heated at points, and we just loved it. Like, We had so much fun. So, okay. Is anyone here a project-based planner as opposed to a planner with usually ongoing relationships with their clients? I think we already answered that. Can I have the group's permission to move on, please? Everyone in favor say aye. Or give a thumbs up, okay. All right, good. Fee model questions. Okay. How did you come up with your flat fee amount? What is it tied to? A rate, value added, et cetera? And I think this could also be for any other type, hourly or advice only project plan or whatever. How did you come up with the fees?
So I can go first. I charge around $2,000 up front for a financial plan for a new client. And that also covers the time for onboarding. And then about $200 a month going forward. Those rates are about 30 to 50% below market when I look at other people who are doing something similar. How I came up with those numbers is if I were an AUM advisor at 1%, what's the minimum portfolio that I would accept in order to have it worth my time, which was about 250K. Okay, if I'm making 2,500 per year per client, how does that translate into flat fee? I will also point out a article on Kitsis's website that was done by Derek Tharp, who backed into a formula for that normalizes for how everybody can charge on a per client basis. And it essentially normalizes all the different fee structures into one formula, which is 2,350 plus 0.7% times income plus 0.1% of AUM. Now, nobody is using that formula. It's just saying on average, what does a client pay based on their assets, depending on whatever formula. So you can apply it to any formula you want to use.
I think I'm probably going to have to transcribe that. I was thinking about writing up some of the responses to these questions or getting this transcribed and putting it into a blog post. Because that was a very specific answer. Thank you for that. Does anyone else want to speak on this topic?
I'm not sure how relevant it will be to the advisors here, but the process we use to get to our flat fee. So we charge, and this is just for asset management services, 35 basis points, and the fee is capped at $1,400 per household. So if you have once your household reaches $1,400, which is around the $400,000 level, the fee gets capped out there. There was a lot of trial and error involved in that. I wish I'd had a specific formula like Chris had to dial in that number, but it was, I think anybody who's starting out with a flat fee approach will probably end up tweaking it a little bit along the way.
Another question, what does your fee model communicate about the service you provide? Are they aligned? Rather philosophical, I must say.
Well, I think they're better aligned than charging for what assets you have. That is such a stark comparison. Like, I feel like there's the old school AUM and then there's the sort of new school, but the new school is pretty broad and nebulous. Like, we haven't quite figured out how to describe it yet. But at its base, fee for service, charging fairly and in an explainable, understandable way for what you're providing, I think is sort of the key there.
Right. How do you validate it?
I think one of the things too that is kind of my pet peeve, and I think would be helpful to everybody if you don't already do this, is put your fees on your website. Just don't rely on your client to look through their ADV, because I mean, if you can explain it clearly and transparently on your website, then you're not going to have any trouble really defining what value you're providing. By the way, I hate that word value too, but that's a different whole webinar and podcast. But you know, what services you're providing to a client and at what price. So I think that's part of the the challenge is when you're out there marketing a flat fee approach, you're competing with the AUM folks that have 100 different services listed on their website and no fees. And, you know, the client ends up finding out what the fee is later. If you kind of lead with fees and then kind of back into services, then the client can decide whether this is the right approach for them, or again, maybe they need to look for another flat fee or fixed fee advisor that provides the services they're looking for. Because there's a variety of things I'm hearing today that people do, you know, one-time plans, ongoing relationships, one-page plans, you know, comprehensive plans. So it is a different animal out there as far as we're introducing a new pricing mechanism, and at the same time there's not a lot of clarity also on services that people provide out there.
Yeah, so on Scott's website it says, this is really complex and complicated, okay, everybody? He says, I provide financial planning and investment management services for $495 a month.
It's pretty straightforward. There's
Right,
what can you say?
right, that's exactly it, right? So I just would encourage all of you to adopt a similarly transparent and clear approach, because I mean, I really think it's great. Just have the focus be on other things, you know, get the discussion out of the way, make it clear, and then.
Yeah, it doesn't say I charge $500 to $10,000 depending on complexity. I mean, again, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's really no different than the AUM model at that point. I mean, you're just charging differently, but again, you're leaving the door open to charge clients whatever they want. So as transparent as you can be, and I think as clearly as you can be, I think is important as well. Not just being transparent, but explaining in a real concise, you know, basically straightforward way.
And Scott, do your fees match your ADV?
They do. That's my other complaint, is that a lot of times you'll look at it, even if an advisor lists their fees on their website, they'll be listed, whether the ranges, exact numbers, whatever they are, you go look at an ADV and it's much more complicated in the ADV. You're reading 5 pages of fee, basically disclosure, and it doesn't match up with the ADV. So if everything is crystal clear, that's what regulators want, that's what your clients want, that's what prospective clients want, and that's the way you should be doing, in my opinion. But what do I know?
Wouldn't a mismatch between your ADV and what you're saying elsewhere be considered fraudulent advertising? I think so.
I don't know that it's done on purpose. A lot of times I think it's just done because people change pricing and they're not trying to do it in a nefarious type of way, but it is a mismatch. It is a regulatory concern. If regulators come in and audit you and examine your business, that those are things that are required to be in sync. So I mean, if you're changing your fee model often or your services often, let's just, you know, make sure that they match, again, your website and what you're actually delivering. Even if you don't put it on your website, you do want to still be clear in your ADV, because again, you answer to regulators like we all do.
Right. But there's a difference here that needs to be better articulated, I think, by our folks. And it's the difference between a fee schedule, which we typically see on an ADV, and an actual fee, which is what Scott was talking about. And you know, you may think this is a legal nuance, but the SEC spent 3 years yelling at the rooftop that they were going to require brokers to disclose their fees, and that's a bunch of BS. What they required is a fee schedule, and what you guys do, which separates you in that way alone, is you are actually clear about what the actual fee is, as opposed to the fee schedule. So anyway, I just wanted to make that distinction, because it's part of what I think sets you guys apart.
Process to a prospect saying yes to being a client. Does the client just email saying they want to be a client? Are there 2 meetings or 1 or more?
Well, if nobody wants to go out, I'll say what I do. I mean, I don't have a set way that I onboard potential new clients. I spend as much time, whether that's good or bad, in as many meetings as possible, because I'm trying to figure out if it's a good fit. Not only do I want to work with this person on a relationship basis, but also do they understand my thinking on, you know, investment management, advice, guidance along the way. And if we're not in sync, I want to know that in the first 2, 3, 4, 5 meetings or phone calls, without onboarding a client, moving accounts around, and all kinds of other stuff that is not just more time for me, but also an inconvenience to a client afterwards that has to kind of go back and start the process over, a prospect in this case. So, whether that's a good or a bad business practice, I've just found over the years that the more time I spend up front in sort of an unstructured, this is not step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, and now you make a decision to become a client. I mean, obviously you get to a certain point and someone makes a decision that this is a good fit and we want to move forward, but it's not like someone emails and says, yeah, you've had one meeting and you get no more time and the clock starts on meeting number 2 and I need a yes or no answer, or don't call me back. That's not how I run, but people might run that way.
I wouldn't say that I'm necessarily like stingy, because I think you're right, Scott, on like developing the rapport. But as an advice only hourly planner, I want to make sure that the client's receiving the value, but that I'm also getting paid for the advice that I deliver. So I do, my kind of flow is an introductory complimentary call of 30 minutes to say, kind of get a sense of what their picture looks like, and then have them provide me more information through a data gathering process, either through Precise FP or Right Capital. And then I put together a proposal of what it would look like to work together. And then based on that, they agree or don't agree to partner.
Julia, thank you. Can you just say again what that Precise FP or Right Capital, were those the softwares that you said?
Those are the two from a data gathering that I've been leveraging.
Okay. Because someone else had a question about what software you found to be indispensable in your practice. So
that was me.
Wow. Okay. See,
full circle. I'm all about the tech. So yeah,
And
that's what
I'll put in a plug for Precise FP. Been using it for about 8 years, and I think it's wonderful. You can send a lot of stuff out, including your ADVs via that system.
Another tool, and just kind of from a process standpoint that I've been trying to incorporate, like I said in my intro, of like financial health, is data points is another tool where it's almost like a financial psychology, helping clients look at their relationship to money in a different way. So they take this assessment prior to our first official meeting to give me more information and help educate them on their kind of philosophy around spending, budgeting, some of the more behavioral side versus just, do I have all my money in the right buckets?
Thank you, Julia. Is there anyone else? Okay. Now, it's actually twice here. How can we articulate our value to prospective clients without making it sound like a billing discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that you necessarily need to have like the value discussion of this is what I can add to your portfolio, or value working together. I think it's more about, to Julia's point, like really understanding what they're looking for and then offering up based on what they're looking for, where they're at now. This is how we could work together moving forward to help you accomplish what you're looking to do and where you're looking to be. And I think that's the conversation. And I think it's more emotional than it is, quantitative in nature. I think one of the benefits of flat fees is you don't actually have to talk very much about it at all, because people, they're very simple, and the benefit is real obvious. And so most people get it right away. Yeah. Yeah, I think
go ahead.
I was just going to say, back to the other point, I think it helps with putting your pricing on your website. It helps kind of self-select who reaches out to you as well. So there's not that conversation at the end of the process, well, this is what the fee will be. A lot of prospective clients I meet with know exactly what it is before we even start talking about where they're at and what they're looking to accomplish.
And I found that a checklist is very helpful, right? So I just showed a checklist of financial planning topics to some friends, and now they're prospects. To me, that's pretty good marketing.
One of the things that I kind of often wondered, and this is a good thing for me for this group, and I'll maybe post this on the LinkedIn group, is sort of getting a sense for all of the folks that are doing the flat fee movement and moving forward of how much is it where it's kind of one-off, kind of one and done planning versus ongoing, because those are kind of really two different business models. And I think there's different ways to approach that. And I got a lot of ideas and ideas what basically how you can approach that. I mean, at the end of the day, the pricing should be consistent, obviously, with that, but a lot of things is about, so what software you're using and how do you gather data, and the fees are right there. And if clients want to come in and engage initially, but then on an ongoing basis, some of the sort of one and done advisors out there that are really good, they have options for the client to come back. But is that the advisor reaching back out to the client to keep the client, the initial new client, engaged 6 months later, a year later? Is there mechanisms in their practice to do that? So that's one of the things I'm kind of interested in is what is everybody's sort of business model going forward? And it's going to be everything across the board, but is it skewing in more one direction or another? Even though you may or may not manage their assets, is it still to have this ongoing relationship where you've got their information, who they are as a person, a client, and then whether they call you 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, you can pull that up, re-engage, and move forward? Or is it really kind of like I'm doing 500 different plans, and if they call back, great, I'll just charge them a different fee for kind of an additional relationship? So that's kind of the interesting part about this, is it's a new pricing model, but it's also a new service model, and how does it all sort of flush out?
Scott, I would chime in there. I mean, again, I'm fairly new, but I think mine's been interesting is that I look at it as the way I structured of set up your initial plan, launch, but then ad hoc check-ins as needed. And so really with some of these even first clients, I kind of felt like, again, I'm just starting, so I've got people going through it. And it's been interesting to see the client saying, okay, I'll reach back out to you in 3 months. They're more proactive on wanting to make sure we stay connected. So I think it's going to be a balance of both within my workflow of reaching back out to clients so that it's an ongoing relationship, but not something they're paying for on an ongoing basis, but on a when they use it. That's the way I envision it.
So do you find right now with your current practice that basically you're reaching out to them and then they get re-engaged, or would they reach out to you with a very specific question after the initial engagement, whether it's 3, 6 months, whatever it is, when that question comes up, and then you sort of re-engage and answer that question and maybe do more work with them updating their plan after that? Or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's a blend of both, because quite frankly, some clients, certain things, but when I see stuff in the news, especially like student loan stuff, I reach back out and just say, do you want to schedule time? And they respond and say yes. I always laugh, like one of the first clients when I really was like, okay, you've got your plan and you're launched. And he was like, no, I'm not leaving. Let's touch base again in 3 months. And so we both kind of had that level set out the gates. So it's both. But I see the value as having that ability to reincorporate into my practice, not just I'm going to churn out a bunch of plans and never see these people again. I do still think that relationship element is huge.
Great. Thanks, Julia.
Do you ever encounter resistance from prospects regarding your business model?
I'll tell you the one thing, not to monopolize time here, but the one thing that's interesting is there's a couple of very large prospective clients that I was potentially going to work with, and their concern is that you don't charge enough. So I said, we solve that problem. If you want to pay me more, come up with a number you want to pay me. Otherwise, my fees are what they are. And I ended up getting one of those clients and not the other. But just kind of funny that it's not just, at the end of the day, objections to the kind of the fees, but it's just a perception too that if somebody is at a certain net worth, they need to be paying more in fees because you're somehow going to deliver a different level of service, when the level of service is the same for everybody. It's just everybody's situation is different.
Do you feel like they were wanting to pay for better, more robust, quicker response service?
No, I think that these two people were just used to paying kind of not even the AUM, it was an AUM plus additional fees, and they had a lot of assets. So their fees were up into basically the 6-digit figures is what they were paying other advisors. And when they come to me and I'm charging them, $495 a month, and giving them really the same thing after talking to them for an extended period of time as their other advisor was delivering, it becomes a question of, well, okay, why are they charging me, 6 figures plus, and you're charging me $495 a month? And what am I getting different there? And again, I don't know the history, but what they were getting at the time that I was talking with them was exactly what I would be delivering to any other client. Now they might have got more in the past and paid for that, but at that moment in time and where they were at, they should have not been paying that level based on what they needed, and regardless of what their net worth was. So I think that's kind of sometimes when you're, depending on what kind of client you're going after, it's not based on assets, but sometimes people's perception is if they have less assets or more assets, they're kind of the outliers when that's not necessarily true.
Yeah, we've run into the same thing. It's a little bit too good to be true question. It's like, how can you provide the same level of service and charge so much less than what I've been used to paying and what everybody around me is paying? And I think that's just part of the price you pay of trying to do something different and fair in context where the fees haven't always been fair. And it takes clients sometimes a little time to wrap their arms around that.
Yeah, I agree, Scott. And I've been watching your firm from afar, and congratulations on what you've been able to accomplish with the fixed fee model on the TAMP side.
Thank you.
Well, Scott, part of the answer is simple, right? Your office just doesn't look all that luxurious.
No, it's we're virtual at this point. We do have a little office space down in Denver that we use if advisors want to come visit with us. But basically, yeah, we've tried to strip out all the costs and use technology. I won't go into the whole story, but anyway, yeah. So you do. If you decide to go down this road, you have to think about your business in a different way because the revenue stream is just different, and that comes with the territory. And part of it, is what you mentioned, Scott. Is just people scratching their heads a little bit and going, "How can you give me the level of service that I'm used to when I walk into the big office with marble floors and wood paneling?" You don't have that, and you're charging so much less, and they just have a hard time getting that framed up, I think, sometimes.
Well, and the funny thing about it is that sometimes they're getting better service. I mean,
yeah, no,
that's
absolutely
my personality, but I'm answering a client's email at 10 o'clock, and if they're at another firm that's charging them 6 figures, they're probably not answering their email or their phone call at 10 o'clock at night or a weekend when the market's crashing, even though we don't time the markets and that.
Yeah.
Okay, next question. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the evolution of establishing a niche. For those of us that launched without a niche, I don't want to force a niche just to say I have one. I find it difficult to completely rebrand my entire website and hope that it pays off. I could speak to this, but I want to hear from the advisors first.
Yeah, I would say, that's something I've struggled with. Most of our clients are medical field and former military, so defense contractors. But yeah, I haven't had the courage to pull the trigger and really focus on one of those niches or both of those niches. So would love to hear from people that have made that move.
We state right up front on our website who we work best with. We have a kind of an ideal client model and 3 different case studies out there that kind of keep people focused on the fact that we work with retired military, federal employees, and families with special needs. And that doesn't eliminate anybody else who wants to come work with us, but that's the areas we want people to that we would prefer to work with.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is it's nearly impossible to compete against the big guys for the generic terms. So I work with child-free people. That's 20% of the US. That's a large group. But if you look up child-free financial planning, hey, I'm the person that pops up. There's no way I would stick out. I was like just going generic financial planning.
What is child-free financial planning?
It's for people that don't have kids and aren't planning on having kids.
Right. Okay. Like
So-
intentionally you don't have. Okay.
So if you look at like all the CFP stuff, all of it assumes people have kids, but 1 out of 5 adults in the US aren't planning on having kids. But the whole point that it jumps out to you, Sarah, is exactly why a niche works.
Okay, so I want to say I'm probably biased because I'm speaking to the experience of the people that I've worked with. I've seen it work out really well and I've seen it work out not so well. The cases in which a niche does not work out well are where the advisor just says, first of all, it's always a boring, like already heavily trafficked niche. It's already like, it's like, well, we work with doctors and lawyers, something like that, right? Doctors and dentists, like that's the niche everybody loves. And then they don't even customize the services to the niche. Like doctors don't have any assets until they get to be like in their late 30s, but then none of them are doing the planning separately on a standalone, right? So I think it doesn't work well. Now, first of all, you don't need a niche in order to be successful. This is something that we marketing people, we love to talk about. And the reason is that it does help you grow your business faster. I'll tell you a fabulous example of how that worked, but it doesn't work unless you're going to be the best. All right, because if you're just going to slap a niche moniker on it and do a little, then what is that really? Especially where it's a popular niche, you're not going to beat anybody out. Now, there's one person that I've seen, I'm not going to say their name, but this company, this advisor is a murderer. They basically took they took like a bunch of tech companies and they just got the summary plan, the SPD document, and they analyzed all the stock options, the vesting schedule, everything. And they just wrote like on a Michael Kitces level of detail about it. Like it was my client, right? And I was like, I don't want to take no for an answer. I don't want it to be possible. This was my mindset with this. I said, I don't want it to be possible that anybody in the United States could ever write a more detailed blog on this than you. Okay. And then they came back with some like crap blog and I made them write it again, and then we did that for like 4 or 5 companies. And then there was an avalanche effect on Google where they gained authority. They had a YouTube video that started at a few thousand views, went up to 10,000, 30,000, 40,000. And basically at this point, they're hearing from somebody like every single week, 2 or 3 people a week. Now, I don't want to mislead you. This was the product of several years of experience. The production was highly professional. They took a lot of time to do this and they made it their focus. This is not the case. And even if you do all of those things, there's still no guarantee that this will happen. But the point I'm making here is go all in. If you're gonna do a niche, and I don't mean you have to necessarily rebrand your whole website or your whole practice and tick off your existing clients that are not in that niche. But what I mean is you have to be the best. If you want to do it and you want to do it right and you want to really grow quickly from it, it's only worth doing if you're going to be the best. And that's what I told them, and that's what they did, and that's what they became, the best.
Sarah, I think you're right. And I think you also have to do something that's unique. I got very lucky. Market Watch called Child-Free Financial Planning Best New Idea in Retirement this year. And Wall Street Journal did a feature article the same day on it. And my volume went through the roof.
Right.
I'm like, okay, cool, great. You won the game, but it has to be something unique.
There is a fear of being the only one. But if you look at Scott McKillop, are you still there, Scott? Okay. Scott's the only one. First, what is it called? First Ascent is the only one, right? So, and it makes it so simple and clear when you are dramatically different from anybody else. But no one wants to do that.
I will admit it's very scary to be the only one. I actually, there's one other now child-free financial planner. So part of you're like, maybe I'm screwing up and going the wrong direction. So that you'd have to be ready for that fear.
Yeah, it's a risk. But it's a risk worth taking because it's not like you're I mean, one of the things I don't get about financial advisors is they're so averse to doing something like this, and it's so terrifying to specify, like, I work with travel nurses, right? Like, no, I can't say that, that's too risky. But on the other hand, who's up for investing my half my clients' assets in crypto? Like, so weirdly, there's no risk aversion to that. So I don't know what this emotional thing is, but if you could get over that, I don't know. If I were to do it today, I will never be a financial advisor again. I'm awful. Like, I'm a head case about money. Like, I can't handle having my tax. I have like a nervous breakdown every year. If I paid like $1, if my taxes are off by like $1, I'm like on the phone with my accountant like 5 times a day. Okay, I'm a nervous wreck. I would never be it. But if I ever were to be a financial advisor again, I would get a weird as hell, crazy, like, no, there's one guy that went and did like fly fishermen or like competitive bass fishermen. He was on the Kids' podcast, and it's a small niche, but the ones who really succeed at this are like millionaires. They get $1 million prizes and stuff like that. And he has a very nice practice. He's got the top people in there, and he's part of the community. He goes to the conferences and everything. So
Yeah.
Sorry.
I just wanted to briefly mention, I recently had a tattoo artist. That was also very interesting. And I wonder how he's doing. That's all.
Sarah, just to add to what you're saying, there is a cost there too, though, right? And one thing that I didn't anticipate, because I'm launching to work exclusively with T-Mobile employees, and so it's super niche, right? One of the biggest issues that I'm having is I have to go find all the other people to refer these folks to. So I'm like spending a lot of time meeting with advisors, like, oh, that's your niche. Oh, that's your niche. To be able to say, oh, you're the best person I can find for this particular consumer or prospect.
nothing's worth doing unless you're going to be the best, though. And it's going to take you more time at first, but then it's going to make it easier in the long term. Because you see, no one wants to do that. No one wants to do what you do, Kevin.
I feel you. I hope so.
Everyone wants to go to the like stupid conference or whatever, and go and be on Twitter, like their time. Use your time for this. All right. Okay. Is anyone planning to launch an advice-only network? Well, I know Cody Garrett's doing a lot of work with advice only in terms of setting up programs for other financial advisors. I don't know if he's doing this though. We do have our LinkedIn group that's free to join. And there are a lot of advice-only people in there. Does anybody want me to do this? If this is a priority, I don't know how many advice-only advisors there are at this point, but I don't know, maybe I could get a website or something if it's really something y'all want me to do. I feel that was the implication of that question. Was Sarah, would you do this? See, because this is why I have kids. I know, and I'm gonna get asked for something. I know in advance, y'all. Okay.
Not to split hairs, but does advice only mean doesn't do investment management, or would we people who offer that as well?
Right, it would
part of the group.
No investment managers.
Okay.
Okay, I just have 2 more questions. If everyone wants to go, that's okay. I could just sit here and talk to myself and enjoy the time off. Just kidding. All right, we are considering, oh my God, sorry, this is so like, what are some favorite tech tools that people can't live without?
Right Capital.
Why?
Because it's the core financial planning tool and it does a lot of the heavy lifting. A lot of the heavy lifting is also like things that might not be immediately obvious, like data gathering and also presentation. Like I find that clients really understand it. I choose what to focus on and what to show them in their interface. And so I can go into more or less detail with them, depending on the client. And my kind of success story is the husband and wife. The wife had never worked outside of the house, hated financial planning. I made her come to the meeting. We walked through all the screens and she was like, oh, we've had spreadsheets and stuff, but this was really helpful. I actually understood this. So that was my vote of confidence for that tool.
Text Expander, Precise FP, Income Lab, Microsoft Excel. What's Text Expander? Sorry if that's an ignorant question.
Oh, it's a good question. It's a little piece of software you can download. I think it's $15, maybe $40 a year, and it allows you to put in snippets. So if there's something you repeat over and over again, like email response or signature block, or like I could put a snippet in here right now of my signature block, it'll just populate it immediately. It's just a little short, like X CFP puts the CFP with the copyright or the trademark designation after. So it's a way to save your time.
Yeah, especially that CFP trademark, they got to get you every time with that. All right. We are considering transitioning our practice that is mostly AUM to flat fee, about 140 client households. Does anyone have tips for the communication aspects with existing clients as you go through this transition? Some of these clients have been billed AUM for 20 years, so it's a bit of a change for those people. Jamie Menges of PDS Planning addressed this in the first webinar we did on the resource sheet. I don't know anyone here has done this, and I certainly have not myself. So, okay, that's the last question. Now, having said that, the question list is over. But does anyone still want to talk, or should we all go?
I feel like, Sarah, this might be a good place to stop for today. One thing that I did put in the chat, and we had a couple of people chime in, I would love to know how other people are finding success with marketing, with prospecting, right, within this space. So if that's something that we could talk about at a future date, I think that would be fantastic.
All right.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Kevin. I think it's a very important issue and a very important topic to address in the next conversation.
Okay, yeah, we could address that in October. I'll put that on the agenda. But in the meantime, I don't mean to keep being like my LinkedIn group, but there are 200 people in that group, and we have had some very successful discussions in there. So maybe you could enter that, or I'll enter it actually as a question. It's always great to get these questions. And if you're not in the LinkedIn group, please join it. Okay, everybody, I'm going to end the webinar now.
Thanks a lot, Sarah.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay.
Thanks, Sarah. Thanks, everyone.